The release of the film Phule has been delayed because of the cuts demanded by the censor board. The originally plan was to release the movie on April 11, 2025, the 198th birth anniversary of Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. After protested by a few Brahmin organizations in Maharashtra, the censor board asked for cuts to several important scenes in the film. The film is released now been pushed to April 25th. Director Anant Mahadevan follows the lives of Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule in the 19th century and their work on the social and educational reforms for Dalits and women. Protesting by Brahmin groups have demanded that all references related to the caste discrimination to be erased, from visual of untouchability to the mentions of the Manu Dharma and Dalit caste names like Mahar and Mang. The director of the films belongs to the Brahmin community and it's adamant about the historical accuracy of the film. Professor Kancha Ilaiah Shepherd is with me to talk more about this. First question is why this censorship against the Phule film?
Well, I was surprised when I saw that the release of the film on his 198th birth anniversary was stopped by CBFC. Now, with the pretext that there was a complaint by some Brahmin organizations, particularly one Anant Dave, who represented a Brahmin federation of Maharashtra. Now, this film is the first film by Bollywood with a proper director, producer, and with well-known character actors like Patrick Gandhi and Patralekha.
Yes.
And after the film is finished, when they went for certification, that too after the trailer was released, quite surprisingly, the Central Board of Film Certification said that several cuts need to be made because there are protests, there are complaints by Brahmin organizations. And those cuts which they suggested are, some of them are very strange. For example, they were asking for cutting caste names like Mahar, Mang, and
Some
other Maratha
some Peshwas
caste
also.
names.
Peshwas also like
Yeah.
yeah.
Why are they asking to cut, what Phule called the Atishudra names who were untouchable at that time? Now, what is the concern of Brahmins here that these names should be cut? The other major things are that they don't want to use the phrase Manu, uh, Manu Dharma, situated society or society of Manu Dharma. Now,
Also,
they also don't want the visuals like a Dalit
man carrying the broom.
having a pot to his neck and broom to his
Broom.
waist.
Yeah.
When in the 19th century, that was a reality in most parts of India, and more particularly in Peshwa kingdom, that if a Dalit were to come to village or a town, he had to notify by even ringing the bell in certain cases, and he had to spit his own, spit in the pot, and then his footprints were supposed to be swept off because they were dusty roads in those days.
Yeah.
Now, that only indicated the level of untouchability that Indian society suffered. Now, that they wanted to remove. And then there is a scene in the trailer that a boy with a genev on his body and a sacred thread on his body and then shaven head and obviously a Brahmin
He's a Brahmin guy. They
kind of
shown he's a
Gurukula
Brahmin guy.
trained
Yeah.
boy
Hmm.
throwing dung on Savitribai when she was going to school. Now, that was a very well established fact. Whether it was a boy of that age or whether it was different kind of different people of different age, but it were those Brahmin community members who threw dung on her and she had to bathe and change clothes to go and teach. Now, if those kinds of things are removed, I think the soul of the film is gone.
uh, do you really think this film is accurately reflects the truthful history and also the Phule's like Mahatma Phule and Savitribai Phule's work accurately shown in the film, but some of the Brahmin organization come forward and they doing a protest, like some Brahmin organization, like I saw that protest, there are only 10 to 20 people who protesting in Maharashtra, and this government or this censorship is really taking serious of this kind of 10-20 people's protest.
It is interesting that it is in the same year the Maharashtra Assembly, with a proposal of the government of Maharashtra headed by Devendra Fadnavis, who himself is a Brahmin, that the police, he proposed a resolution in the state assembly, and unanimously all parties voted for the resolution to give Bharat Ratna to Phule's
Yes.
on 24th of March itself. Now, for the first time, though there was such demand since quite some time that Maharashtra Assembly must pass a resolution because they belong to the Maratha society and so on. So it never happened. And the BJP government passed this resolution, obviously with the nod of RSS and BJP at Delhi. Now, in the same year, when a major film is being made and it was supposed to be released, with the pretext of handful of people with some kind of organizational, caste organizational names, the protesters themselves are caste organizations.
Yeah.
Now, this CBFC immediately responds to that. Earlier, there were several protests against several films, including the films on historical background, the films on man-woman relationships, and also, minority related films like Kashmir Files and
Kerala story
Kerala and so on.
also. Yeah, Kerala
But
story.
CBFC did not respond so quickly. The only film recently, it took some time to clear it, was Kangana Ranaut's Indira Gandhi film.
Emergency.
That because various forces talked about its historic inaccuracy, and it was a very recent history of a prime minister of a country that two women prime. Now, this is a film on 19th century reforms, and the facts about those incidents around Savitribai and Phule's life. None other than the first biographer who noted most of these facts was Dhananjaya Kher, who himself was a Brahmin historian.
Yes.
And he has written several biographies, including that of Savarkar and so on, Ranade and so on. So the film director, Anant, Anant Mahadevan, repeatedly said, no, the film is made on absolute historical facts with a lot of research.
Yeah.
And why would I make a film to offend a community to which I myself belong to?
Yeah,
He said, I myself is a Brahmin. So even the film actors like, Patrick Gandhi and Patralekha in their interview said, no, these are all based on the historical facts. We also looked at that background and we were so deeply involved. We thought that we are making a film on a god and a goddess. So that kind of respect they have for the couple. Now, what surprised me more is the protesters are just handful.
Only 10 or 20 peoples we saw in the frame who protested against this film.
Yeah, if there are 10 or 20 or three organizations they mentioned, one is Akhila Bharat Brahmin
Brahmin Mahasangha
organization,
also.
the other
Yeah.
one is Brahmin Federation, and so Parashurama Brahmin organization, and so on. I mean, these are known caste organizations. Now, the fact that the Central Film Board itself is very much concerned about this. How can they say that you should not use Mahar and Mang names in the caste? They were well established. After all, see, Phule used the word Shetji and Bodji for Brahmins and Baniyas. That was a Marathi colloquial name for those communities. And he used Shudras and Ati Shudras, a whole conglomeration of agrarian communities as Shudras, including Marathas, pot makers, goldsmiths, ironsmiths, and all kinds of cattle rearers and so on, what they call Dangars in Maharashtra. Then all Dalits, he put them together as Ati Shudras.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, after that Ambedkar wrote Annihilation of Caste, organized Scheduled Caste Federation, including with Mahars and Mangs, and the caste names are very well known all over the country. At one level, we are talking about caste census. But at another level, they say don't use caste names.
But Professor, my question is, what will happen if the caste name is shown in the film?
See, if you look at the Telangana Andhra Pradesh history of Madigas and Malas, Madiga is a surname now, a name of whole community, writers, intellectuals, leaders, activists. And surprisingly, the CBFC says don't use caste, but use Varna. I mean, how does just fourfold Varna, which was just used in Rigvedic text, based on the color complexion of people at that time in the context of Aryan migration, which Phule himself recorded in Gulamgiri very well. That Varna, fourfold Varna idea does not capture the caste system. And if they say that you should not use Manu Dharma in the film, I mean, where is the life to the film then?
In the last 10 years, we have seen many propaganda films like Kashmir Files, the Kerala Story. They are smoothly running. They don't have any issues with censor, or there is no restriction. But at the same time, the truthful history we are showing in this Mahatma Phule's biopic Phule, and this censorship or censor said, please remove this part, and after that you release the film.
Well, we saw when films like Kashmir Files was released, Kerala was released. It was not just Muslim intellectuals, but even the lot of secular intellectuals, lot of women journalists said that these films are not made based on historical facts. Even then, the film board did not take cognizance of such writings, protests, whatever. Uh, Leave alone that. Uh, in the context of a major reform being accepted by vast sections in terms of caste and women's equality. The history of Pule's is the history of not only just anti-caste Satyasodak Samaj being built with an idea that all castes must live as equal, human beings. The question of women, liberation, education, the kind of struggles that Phule and Savitribai Phule faced from the Pune region, elite. And that was the time when Balagangadhara Tilak was also alive. And this couple were thrown out of his own father's house. And yet they went to the Dalit Wada and started a school for all uh, all children, including Brahmin children. Now, when that kind of couple's life is coming into a film form, all those depictions are historically verified facts.
Yeah.
And several biographers wrote about them. Now, it is in this context, I think it is very disturbing, and they are not bothered about the protests by various sections. Unfortunately, not many feminist organizations have come in defense of the film. Not many journalists outside the OBC organizations, Dalit organizations like, headed by Prakash Ambedkar.
Yeah.
And media, of course, is writing the news.
Yeah.
But where is the protest against this kind of censorship by the
Other this
film
community
board
peoples who belongs
at a
to
time
the,
when
yeah.
BJP itself recommends, for the first time to 19th century reformers, Bharat Ratna. I mean, where is the protest? I'm shocked at this also. A lot of feminists should have talked about it, asked for no. It should come out without any cuts. And we know that the feminist movement and the large number of writers, women executives, women journalists, a lot of them come from upper caste background. The propaganda films based on their own hatchpatch research of modern events, contemporary events, they they produce all kinds of films. And if there are such objections from film board and agencies like that, even in this case, the IB, Information and Broadcasting Ministry itself, suggested that the word Manu Dharma should not be used in this film. Now, this is a very strange thing. How can Information Ministry now suddenly come in and say that don't use Manu Dharma. Manu Dharma, the critique to Manu Dharma by Ambedkar, the critique to Manu Dharma to from Ambedkar to Kanshiram, and the whole of academia now, the word Manuvadi has become very, very popular now. In this context, ministry also says you should not use words like Manu Dharma in the film. Now, it's a very scary situation about the freedom of the productive masses, their representatives, their reformers, and particularly see reforms of Phule and Ambedkar were not like the reforms of Raja Ram Mohan Rai or Dayanand Saraswati or Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar or Ranade. These reforms actually have changed the whole social system to make it competent to change this country into a modern country and face any eventuality tomorrow, either from China or from America. We should become a modern nation with woman equality, education to all, and castelessness in the society. Now, when such films are coming out, everybody seems to be, against it, either by acting against the film or by remaining silent. Now, this kind of intellectual environment shows that caste is a very, very deep institutional thing. And not only caste, Savitribai, this very same Maharashtra BJP government put Savitribai name to Pune University.
Yeah, they
So,
changed the name.
yeah, in
Savitribai Phule
this in
Pune.
this atmosphere also, a film for the first time, earlier small films came, but for the first time, a Bollywood film being made on this, and whole lot of people, handful of people protest. Uh, CBFC responds, IB Information Ministry responds, and only fighting in defense of the film producer, director,
Yeah,
actors is
as you mentioned,
OBCs and Dalits. Why should it be like that?
this last 10 years decade, this government is like suppress the voice of this Bahujan communities, because when one hand we saw this other movies, like as early I mentioned, the Kerala story, the Aurangzeb, Chhawa, and other propaganda movies, they run smoothly. But what will happen when this Phule's movie is coming, or any other Bahujan connected to Bahujan people's movie? Why they censoring? Is this government is suppress the voices of this large community?
Yeah, I think, I'm also concerned about the OBC Prime Minister who has been talking about the OBCs in order to mobilize votes. In Maharashtra, in the recent election, they did win the election with the OBC votes mainly. He also knows that the Information and Broadcasting Ministry is asking for removal of the word Manu Dharma or Manu Dharma related other words in the film, or even the CBFC remaining very firm about the cuttings, in spite of the fact that Anant Mahadevan himself said, "Look, I am a Brahmin myself, and why would I hurt my own
Own
community?
community.
The
Yeah.
film does not have that kind of a negative issues involved in this. It is based on the historical facts. Yet the BJP government is not intervening to ask the CBSC that no, there is no need for this kind of cuts for such a remarkable film made for a remarkable people like Savitribai and Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, today whom we all respect, and we need them to change this country into an egalitarian country. My feeling is, in the recent context, both BJP and RSS, on the one side, talk about changes that they are also accommodating. But on the other side, they keep insisting that the Sanatan Dharma has to be protected, completely protected, and no reforms within the Sanatan Dharma uh, are, are allowed. Now, this goes against their own argument when it came to Muslim women.
Yes.
The very same party, the very same organizations were saying there is a need for reform within Muslim women. And
Yeah.
after all, what Phule did is the same. He did for Brahmin women, he did for Shudra women, he did for Dalit women, Savitribai and Phule,
But they don't
education,
want they.
Yashoda, everything. So I think there is a double-edged weapon both BJP and RSS organizations and the government are using. Now, suddenly, when the film of Phule is made by the Bollywood industry and a very well known director and very well produced uh, 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 film, and then uh, seasoned actors acted, then they came out with this kind of kind of politics. I think the whole country must really remain watchful. It is not the question of only SC, ST, OBCs or intellectuals coming from those, communities. It is an issue of all castes. And why should the Brahmins who see if my caste has treated Dalits untouchable? Today I'm saying my parents were wrong. My
Yes.
caste earlier were wrong. They should completely treat. They should completely, they should realize that the Dalits are equal to shepherd communities. Dalits are equal to
Yes.
all other OBCs. There should not be any discrimination. So the similar stand Brahmin intellectuals should take wherever they are, whether in the government, whether in the media, and I'm very concerned about the feminist organizations not at length talking about this film and the kind of developments that are taking place.
द वायर के और वीडियोस देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन पर क्लिक करें। स्वतंत्र पत्रकारिता की आर्थिक मदद करने के लिए डिस्क्रिप्शन में दिए गए लिंक पर जाएं और अपनी राशि चुनें।